2022 will please come to order. Good evening. Those of you who are in attendance this evening, welcome. We're glad you're with us. If you would, please take a moment and check to see if you have placed your cell phone on silent or vibrate, and we appreciate that. For those of you who are participating remotely, good evening as well. We are asking members of the public who are participating remotely to place their microphone on mute during the meeting with the exception of any public hearing. At the appropriate point in the public hearing, I will invite the public to unmute their microphone for purposes of submitting such comments as they may wish to make, one person at a time. All persons wishing to make public comments will be asked to first state their name and address for the record, and after completing the comment, members of the public will once again be asked to place their microphone on mute, and we thank all of you for your cooperation this evening. This evening, we are going to be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Maggie Brown, who is going to come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. After we've completed the Pledge of Allegiance, if you would, please remain standing for a moment of silence in remembrance of the tragic passing of Congresswoman Jackie Walorski, her staffers Zach Potts and Emma Thompson, and Edith Schmucker.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Maggie. At this time, before we move forward with the remainder of the agenda, I would open the floor to any comments that any members of the council wish to make with regard to the tragic loss that the community has suffered. And I would invite Clerk Block and Mayor Wood to share any thoughts that they wish to share as well.
Mr. President, yes. That was a very tragic loss that, the state of Indiana and the United States incurred when Jackie and Zach Potts and Emma and the other Mrs. Schmucker were killed in the accident. I've known Jackie for about 7 years, 8 years maybe, and I can say this speaking from a standpoint of being a military veteran, she has done an awful lot for the veterans in northern Indiana and across the state, and she will certainly be missed. Young Mr. Zach Potts, 27 years old, he came into the GOP of St. Joe County a couple of years ago, and he's been like a whirlwind, and he's got had a lot of energy, and he's done a lot for the GOP here in the county, and he will also be missed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Other comments? Well, Mr. Mayor?
Since I was invited, Mr. President, thank you very much. It's very thoughtful to have this here tonight, this remembrance. Certainly, it's been a tragic event and followed by a week of a lot of sorrow and sadness. Would like to and have heard from family and staff specifically of the Congresswoman, but also of families who are involved, that they were very appreciative of the city of Mishawaka for all that the city did to make the events surrounding the funerals easier for them. And so I heard an awful lot about how proud they were of the city of Mishawaka. Specifically, we heard also from the Capitol Police. We had members of Congress here. Capitol Police, these kinds of events are no real, rarity for them. They deal in a lot of communities, and they specifically said that this one was among the best at helping to organize, and just the amount of professionalism that is here, that was on display from the Mishawaka Fire Department, Mishawaka's Police Department, and others involved. So first of all, I want to say that. Personally, certainly a tragic loss as well. Just goes to show you that any moment in time you can be called home. And I got the opportunity to meet Jackie. Gosh, we came up together. It's been over 22 years now where I've known her since before she was involved in politics, back when she was working here in local media. And so I got to know her as I was in my early council days, watched her rise, run at local office, then at state office, then in federal office. And, she was a very difficult person to replace in every one of those offices that she served in, but it's because she brought a lot of passion and really a commitment to serve. She, whether you agreed with her politics or whether you didn't, you always knew where she stood, and I always appreciated that about her. And as somebody who had disagreed with her on occasion, I always appreciated that about her. I prefer to think of her and how she helped Mishawaka specifically. When I think back about how she changed Mishawaka, it's been for the positive. We're a better city because of her leadership. First of all, she brought her offices here. She had wanted to, she could open up an office anywhere. She chose Mishawaka to do it, which is good service to our constituents, the same citizens that we all serve. She was a friend of veterans, and when you think about what we have here, what we are blessed, and what is Mishawaka is unique to have is a VA clinic. That VA clinic would not be here but for two things. First of all, it took the feds to propose the project, to work towards it, and at the same time, there was a lot of competition for that clinic here in the region. It's located very specifically where it is because of two reasons, as I said. First of all, the city worked to clear a site and have it ready in our medical campus. And secondly, it took somebody pushing on the federal end. And Congresswoman Walorski was a champion not only of that center, but that center in Mishawaka. And she really, I would say that there was some opposition to it being in Mishawaka from the then governor himself and from a senator who did not want to see it but thought that there was other places that it might be more appropriate. Well, Jackie got her way in that, and I think Mishawaka is better for it, and I think our veterans are better for it. She was very personable too. She was a friend of law enforcement. We had a good relationship with her on the law enforcement side of things. She also, the last time it would be nothing for you to go in public. She was just a regular person. It'd be nothing for you to go. In fact, the last time I saw her in person, she was with her mom shopping at Lowe's. And the last time I spoke with her, she called. She was in Washington, D.C. She called me very specifically to say, hey, I saw a press conference that you did. It was in regards to the Merrifield Park fight that we had. She said, I'm proud of the way Mishawaka handled that. It was, she just expressed the fact that she appreciated common sense and us taking the stand that we did. Here she's in D.C. dealing with all these big issues. She certainly didn't have to call to share that message. There was no other message other than, hey, I'm proud of how Mishawaka handled that. She had a million other things she could have been doing, but for her to pick up the phone and do that, I thought it was pretty classy. And then certainly we lost two of her staffers. These are kids who are my kids' age, some of your kids' age. Tragic all around. The families are certainly struggling with how to cope and comprehend. But again, these kinds of events really make you grateful for what you have, at least me, and it's certainly reinforced my priorities, which are God, family, and Mishawaka. So with that, I will thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any other comments from the council? Madam Clerk?
I'm sad that I was out of town last week and was not able to participate in any of the events honoring Jackie, and my heartfelt sympathy goes to her husband and her mother. Her mother is still alive. It's hard to imagine losing a child. And I know many of you in this room probably do know what that's like. But I've known Jackie probably for most of my life, and we were not on the same political spectrum, but that didn't matter when we saw each other. We have relatives together. We're not related personally, but we have relatives together, and I would see her on several occasions. And Zach, I saw Zach probably at least once a month for the last couple of years at election board meetings. He was always very cordial and very professional and very nice, and he was just a short 2 weeks away from his wedding. I didn't know Emma or the lady driving the other car, but these events do make you realize how fragile life is, and that we should all appreciate our families and appreciate each other and appreciate the camaraderie that we have, even though, we may not have the same political beliefs. Politics is completely out of this. It's just a very tragic, tragic event, and lives are changed forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Anything else from the council? Then let me close by once again expressing on behalf of the entire Mishawaka Common Council our condolences to the families of all who were involved and lost their lives in this tragic incident. They will be in our thoughts and prayers. In particular, if I can exercise a moment of personal privilege, I want to express my personal condolences to Mr. Dean Swihart, Congresswoman Walorski's husband, who many of you know as being a longtime distinguished educator for School City of Mishawaka. So during the media coverage of this tragic event, I heard reference to the fact that what stood out in the minds of many was that Congresswoman Walorski lived a life of service to the community, and I think that applied to all the others who were involved in this as well. So again, our condolences to the families of all who have been impacted by this, and may they all rest in peace. Thank you. With that, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. DeMade?
Here.
Mr. Hazen?
Here.
Mr. Mamalenti?
Here.
Mr. Benicki?
Here.
Mr. Emmons?
Here.
Mr. Belovich?
Here.
Mr. Compton?
Here.
Mrs. Volker? Mr. Hicksonbaum?
Here. Approval of the minutes of our regular meeting of August 1st, 2022. Are there any additions or corrections? Then hearing none, the minutes will stand approved as received from the clerk's office. Petitions, communications, remonstrance, and memorial.
Yes, Mr. President, I have a letter from the Board of Zoning Appeals regarding their recommendations from their August 9th, 2022 meeting. Honorable members, a regular meeting of the Mishawaka Board of Zoning Appeals was held on the above referenced date, at which time the following use variances were considered. Appeal number 22-27, an appeal submitted by Sharon Hellman requesting a use variance for 1017 East Jefferson Boulevard to allow a food truck in the parking lot. The board, with a vote of 3-2, recommended approval subject to the following conditions. The truck shall be located a minimum of 10 feet from the north property line. Hours of operation shall be no more than 6 hours per day, 3 days per week. Use variance shall expire 1 year from the date of the Common Council approval. Appeal number 22-29, an appeal submitted by Princess City Properties requesting approval of a use variance at 702 South Logan Street to allow retail sales in I-2 Heavy Industrial District. The board, with a vote of 5-0, recommended approval. This is signed by Carrie Myers, Administrative Planner. We also have a letter from the City Plan Commission regarding their recommendations from their August 9th meeting. Honorable members, the regular meeting of the Mishawaka Plan Commission was held on the above referenced date, at which time the following proposed ordinances were considered. Petition number 22-08, a petition submitted by CAT Mishawaka requesting to rezone Lot 1 of CAT Mishawaka, their minor subdivision, from C2 Shopping Center Commercial District to C1 General Commercial District for speculative outlot. The commission, with a vote of 7-0, recommended approval. Petition number 22-09, a petition submitted by Chris and Susan Skadinsky requesting to rezone 2212 Lincoln Way West from C1 General Commercial District to R1 Single Family Residential District. The commission, with a vote of 7 to 0, recommended approval. Petition number 2022-10, a petition submitted by Brandon and Dawn Renee Kripe and Chloe Kripe requesting to rezone 805 South Logan Street from I-1 Light Industrial District to R1 Single Family Residential District. The commission, with a vote of 7 to 0, recommended approval. Petition number 22-11 is a petition submitted by Robert Wright, Gary Wright, Rosalie McKay, a revocable trust, and as trustee, and George Walker and Virginia and Terry DeFrew, Family Trust, and as trustee, and Carolyn Bulkin and Jerome Francis Walker, each with 1/5 interest. Lane Wright, Pauline Dora, the Wright Family Revocable Trust, Living Trust, reserving life estate during natural life, requesting to annex and zone 14325 Cleveland Road, Granger, to S2 Planned Unit Development for commercial use. The commission, with a vote of 6 to 1, recommended approval, subject to the attached conditions. Petition number 22-12, a petition submitted by Pierre Smith and Jermaine Smith requesting to rezone 911 North Main Street from C1 General Commercial District to R1 Single Family Residential District. The commission, with a vote of 7 to 0, recommended approval. Petition number 22-13, a petition submitted by LaFree Properties, 1/2 interest, and John and Janie Piricini, 1/2 interest, requesting to rezone 3605 Bremen Highway from C2 Shopping Center Commercial and C7 Automobile-Oriented Restaurant Commercial District to C4 Automobile-Oriented Commercial District. The commission, with a vote of 7 to 0, recommended approval. Pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-4-605, the Mishawaka City Plan Commission hereby certifies to the Mishawaka Common Council the attached proposed ordinances regarding the above matters. This is signed by Carrie Myers, Administrative Planner.
Thank you. Report of special committee, which there appears to be none, so we will move into ordinances on first reading.
Proposed ordinance number 2022-19, an ordinance amending Chapter 137 of the Municipal Code of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana, is from time to time amended, commonly known as the zoning ordinance of 1966 of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana. This is to rezone C2 Shopping Center Commercial to C7 Auto-Oriented Restaurant for a speculative outlot at Lot Number 1, CAT Mishawaka, minor subdivision.
Proposed ordinance 2022-19 will be assigned to the Land Use Planning Committee.
Proposed ordinance number 2022-20, an ordinance amending Chapter 137 of the Municipal Code of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana, as from time to time amended, commonly known as the zoning ordinance of 1966 of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana. This is to rezone from C1 existing insurance office to R1 single-family residential, conversion back to house, 2212 Lincoln Way East.
Proposed ordinance 2022-20 will be assigned to the Land Use Planning Committee.
Proposed ordinance number 2022-21, an ordinance amending Chapter 137 of the Municipal Code of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana, as from time to time amended, commonly known as the zoning ordinance of 1966 of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana. This is to rezone from I-1 Light Industrial to R1 Single Family Residential for an existing house at 805 South Logan Street.
Proposed ordinance number 2022-21 will be assigned to the Land Use Planning Committee.
Proposed ordinance number 2022-22, an ordinance annexing contiguous territory to the City of Mishawaka, Indiana, and providing zoning classification therefore. This is annexation and rezone to S2 PUD for commercial use, 14325 Cleveland Road.
Proposed ordinance number 2022-22 will be assigned to the Land Use Planning Committee.
Proposed ordinance number 2022-23, an ordinance amending Chapter 137 of the Municipal Code of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana, is from time to time amended, commonly known as the zoning ordinance of 1966 of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana. This is to rezone from C1 to R1 to rebuild single-family residential house at 911 North Main Street.
Proposed ordinance 2022-23 will be assigned to the Land Use Planning Committee.
Proposed ordinance number 2022-24, an ordinance amending Chapter 137 of the Municipal Code of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana, as from time to time amended, commonly known as the zoning ordinance of 1966 of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana. This is to rezone from C2 Center Commercial to and C7 Auto-Oriented Restaurant to C4 Auto-Oriented Commercial for Drive and Shine Car Wash Facility at 3605 Bremen Highway.
Proposed ordinance 2022-24 will be assigned to the Land Use Planning Committee.
Proposed ordinance number 2022-25, an ordinance to establish the Cedar Street Multiple Site District within the city of Mishawaka, Indiana. This is establishing the Cedar Street Multiple Site as a historic district.
Proposed ordinance 2022-25 will be assigned to the Land Use Planning Committee.
Proposed ordinance number 2022-26, an ordinance amending Chapter 10 of the Municipal Code of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana, is from time to time amended, commonly known as the Amusements and Entertainments Ordinance of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana.
And just to mix things up, proposed ordinance 2022-26 will be assigned to the Public Health and Safety Committee. Before we move on, I see some of my friends from one of our local social clubs in attendance this evening, and my spidey sense tells me that you may be here to speak on the proposed ordinance that we just assigned to a committee. In my apologies, I dropped the ball and I didn't call you Janet, so I apologize in advance for that. But in hindsight, since there's been such a passage of time since we first considered this matter, it was decided to reinitiate the process, put it through 2 readings, so nothing will be decided this evening, but certainly, and I'll volunteer his time as well. Mr. Compton, who is the chair of the Public Health and Safety Committee, and myself would love to hear from you this evening. If anybody has any thoughts on that, there will be an opportunity to submit public comments at our next council meeting, the first council meeting in September, which is the Tuesday after Labor Day, if I remember correctly. So either tonight or at that time, or in between time, if you want to send us an email, drop us a note, whatever the case may be. We'd love to hear from anybody who has an opinion to express with regard to the temporary event ordinance. Mr. Compton.
Yeah, and I believe it was our intent to, after this meeting, to communicate to all the clubs and as many venues in the community as possible, and send them a copy of the ordinance ahead of time. So they will see it, and then they can make judgment on it prior to the meeting that they can comment on, and we vote on.
So again, my apologies for not calling you back earlier, but there'll be some more time, and it's always good to see my old friend John Livers in attendance in City Hall. Anyway, so thank you for being here this evening, folks. Resolutions.
Yes, we have Resolution R 2022-17, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana, approving a petition of the Mishawaka Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 1017 East Jefferson Boulevard, Mishawaka, Indiana. This is a use variance to allow a food truck in the parking lot of Pilo's Body Shop at 1017 Jefferson Boulevard.
Thank you. We will now open the public hearing on proposed resolution 2022-17. Anyone wishing to speak in favor, if you would, please come forward to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Hello. My name is Pablo Bueno Jr., better known as Pilo. I own Pilo's Body Shop and Auto Sales LLC on 1017 East Jefferson Boulevard in Mishawaka.
All right, would you like to tell us a little bit more about what you have planned if this is approved?
I actually have something written down here that I'm just going to read off of. I read at the Board of Zoning's Appeals, so I'll just go ahead and read. I won't read everything, but I'll read whatever I believe is essential. As I said, my name is Pilo, and I'm the owner of Pilo's Body Shop. I write this letter to elaborate on my plan to add a food vending truck to my property and explain how it will be beneficial to us. The initial intention was to help draw business to my location, but now it will have dual purposes. It will also serve as a supplement income to my business due to economic hardship. As you may be aware, our U.S. economy has shrunk for a second straight quarter, according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis. In the past, 6 months of contraction has indicated recession. Our main income is from Pilo's Body Shop. The auto sales department has declined since the pandemic due to the rising cost of vehicles and, of course, the computer chip. Like all business, Pilo's Body Shop has fluctuated in our 5+ years of business in the city of Mishawaka. Although we have been able to survive over the past years and through the pandemic, we are now concerned about our livelihood due to the already mentioned shrinking economy at a 0.9% annual rate. Pilo's Body Shop has unfortunately become part of the statistics that face our economy. Staff shortage, inflation impact, and many other unprecedented challenges that you might already know from the broken record we hear on the news across our nation every day. We have in fact not seen a new customer in the past 5 to 6 weeks, which we pray will change for the better soon, and it has over the past week. Regarding our use variance, which we have submitted an official proposal, I must address some concerns from the planning department. According to the planning department, there are concerns about parking. We can assure that this will not be an issue. Business has never been high enough, therefore, we have yet to run out of parking. We always have 8 to 10 parking spaces available. Even at our busiest, we only get 1 to 2 customers per day, most of the times per week. Most of the food orders will be placed by phone or online, which means that most are going to be ready to pick up and go. We have created a system that allows customers to be directed accordingly to and from their vehicle. All customers will enter through a designated entrance and exit through a designated exit. Walk-up, drive-up customers will be given a pager to take to their vehicle, which will sound off when their order is ready. Once the order is ready, they will drive up to pick up their order and go. Because our vending food truck operations will be designed for to-go orders, there will be no interference with the shop operations, as there will be designated parking spaces for both businesses. We have thought this through and through and will adjust accordingly. I have mentioned this is a form of supplement to my business that will allow customers to continue to eat local. This will also give an opportunity to my son Ernesto and Jose Bueno, who are experienced economic challenges themselves, as they will be working the food truck. It will help Ernesto finance his studies in business that will also give him hands-on experience while learning good business ethics and customer relations. As well as my son Jose, a single father whose employer has cut his work weeks 5 days to 3 days a week. My son Jose is in the RV industry, and as you may already have heard, they has closed multiple plants, laying off hundreds of personnel. But mostly I'm teaching my family not to fall victims of malicious acts of today's youth and be veered in a positive direction in life. That's pretty much it. The hours of operation are 2 to 8, 3 days a week.
All right. Thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Bueno from the council? Mr. Compton?
Mr. Bueno, I want to ask you about your existing business.
Yes.
Because I believe you came to us to open up that business. Was it you personally who came to us several years ago to open that business?
Yeah, the Pilo's Body Shop?
Yes.
Pilo's Body Shop or
What-
the body, that's been a body shop before.
Okay, so
It's been, Mr. Dr.
it was a bread store,
Yes.
and then
I've heard.
we allowed a variance for a body shop. And we asked specific questions about the business that was going to be done there.
Okay,
And
that
one of
would've
those
been-
questions was, will there be auto sales? And the answer was no.
That wouldn't have been me. That would have been the previous owner.
I understand, but the variance covers you.
Okay?
So we're already operating, I think, outside of our variance. And to grant another one, I'm not sure that that's what we want, what I'm comfortable doing, frankly. Now, I understand that you may not have been the body shop owner who originally started that business as a body shop. And maybe the owner of the building didn't tell you you couldn't do that. But I'm pretty sure if we looked back, that the variance we passed previously says body shop only. I'll rely on some of my fellow councilmen and their memories, But that's what I remember.
Okay.
I'll leave that at that.
Thank you. Other questions for Mr. Bueno? Mr. Mamalante?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Bueno, for coming this evening and giving a very detailed description of your proposal. Couple quick questions. I'll skip over the first one since I don't smell any samples that you brought this evening. But I'm looking here in the report, and you had stated the hours would be 2 to 8? Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Well,
Because it originally said 10 a.m. to 8 p.m.
after the Board of Zoning Appeals, we agreed on these hours now.
2 to 8?
2 to 8, 3 days a week.
Okay.
And I would choose the days, which I'm aiming for Thursday and Friday, and maybe some Saturdays. I don't care about Saturday and Sundays, and, I just leave it open as an option.
Okay. And I apologize if I missed it here in the report, but my question is, what do you plan to do with where will the food truck be parked when it's not in operation?
In our property,
Remains,
we have, well, last time we had an aerial on the screen, but there is parking spaces, there's 6 parking spaces on the northwest end of the building, of the property, actually. There's 4 more parking spaces directly in front of the property on Jefferson. There's an additional 4 parking spaces in front of the body shop office, and there's 8 more parking spaces along the side of the east side of the building.
okay. I do see that aerial view. I guess the question is, it will not move inside or behind, or it'll remain stationary?
The
entire
taco
time.
truck is going to be on the northeast end, 10 feet, like we said, from the Jefferson Boulevard, and it'll go from point A to point B, point B to point A,
Even when it's not in operation?
when it's not in operation, because we might move it around in the city and other locations if allowed. I still yet to get to that point.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Benicki?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pilo. Is this limited to a one-year deal for this variance?
Well, they challenged me to 1 year to try it out, and I accepted the challenge because I'm confident of what I'm proposing here today. I know, I've been in business for many years. Okay, I managed my shop, the auto sales. I manage a radio station. I manage, I come from a long line of managers, and I like to say that I'm quite the manager. I can manage things pretty well. I'm capable of foreseeing, addressing, taking charge, multitasking challenges like these.
Well, and the reason I asked if it's 1 year, because then in 1 year you would have to come back.
That's correct.
And if things aren't working out, then we say, you're done.
That's like I said, I'm.
And you're
take the
fine with
challenge.
that?
I'll take the challenge.
1 year. And then also, it was originally, Thursday, Friday from 3 to 8, and then limited on Saturday up to 6 hours. Are you willing to agree to leave them set hours as the only hours you would operate on that property?
We
'Cause
already,
I think that's what you agreed with
we agreed from 2 to 8, Thursday and Friday.
okay?
Actually, we agreed 2 to 8, 3 days a week. I picked the days. But I'm telling you right here, right now, like I told them, I'm aiming for Thursday and Friday. Saturdays, if it strengthens my Thursday and Friday, I'm not worried about Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
I just want to leave it open as an option.
Okay, but so you're willing to commit to Thursday, Friday, Saturday only?
Well, like they told me to pick the days, so I'm going to see,
Well, we don't.
weigh it out.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, we don't want it to vary. One week it's Monday, Tuesday, the next week it's Wednesday, Thursday.
No, once I establish the days, that's it. It's going to be that way the whole year round.
Because I believe it was you that proposed the Thursday, Friday.
Thursday, Friday, and then the Saturday and Sunday.
So are you willing to commit to that?
Yeah, yes,
So
I
you'll
am.
commit to that?
Yes.
And then, Mr. Compton is correct that, at one point, that was in fact, Zone 4 car sales, but that was taken away probably before you got there.
I wasn't
So
aware of
that's an illegal use of the property, and And we see that. I've been in the automotive business for 44 years, so sometimes when you get slow, you do things, you try to do what you can to make ends meet.
Exactly.
But the reality is, if it's limited, it's limited. So I think what we're asking is that you meet the requirements that were agreed upon before you even took over, because it wasn't zoned for car sales. So we're asking you to commit to that. We're asking you to commit to 1-year trial, and we're asking you to commit to Thursday, Friday, Saturday as restrictions at this point in time for the first year. Are them all things you're willing to agree to?
So you're saying I have to do away with the car sales?
Absolutely, because it's not part of the a variance, and actually, we could close you down. Wouldn't want that.
I don't know what to say. I'm a licensed state dealer, licensed dealer, which we've already spent a lot of money to
Sure.
get to where we're at.
And maybe you work through the planning department to see what it would take to do that. I mean, when you're looking at so many different businesses on such a small piece of property, it just makes it tough.
It's something I really have to think through, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Bueno? Then sir, let me follow up with a couple questions right here in the middle. I appreciate the creativity of your proposal, and as a father of 2 sons, I'm always in favor of putting 2 boys to work anytime that something can be done to make that happen. I do have a couple questions, though. I'm not going to replow the ground that my colleagues have already been over with regard to the long-term use of this property. But as somebody who has sat through multiple hearings in multiple years on this property, it bothers me that it doesn't appear that the current use is consistent with the expectation of the council. So that's an issue that I think we're going to have to work through. It also sounded to me from your statement, and then consistent with the pictures, and tell me if I'm wrong, I guess let me put it in the form of a question. Are you currently serving food out of the food truck on this site?
No.
Okay, so you haven't
No, I
started that
no.
part of the
I
operation.
would
That
not
makes
do
me
that.
feel much better. Not so much a question, but a comment. I'm like Mr. Compton and Mr. Benicki. I'm a little bit uncomfortable because of the history of this property, and it looks like things are currently heading in a better direction. But not only as an elected official, but as an attorney, I'm not real comfortable with the vagueness that I'm hearing with regard to the hours of operation, what day a week it's going to be, how long it's going to be. My preference would be for us to have black and white rules, black and white expectations, not just for our purposes, but for your purposes, so that there isn't any misunderstanding come a year from now when this comes before us for review. So I'd like to see a specific schedule with regard to the days of the week. I'd like to see specific hours of operation. In my opinion, and my colleagues may not agree with me, is that I think the staff recommendation that the hours of operation be less on Saturday than they are during the week makes some sense. So if it's going to be no more than 4, no more than 6, I'd like to see the hours spelled out, because if we just talk about the number of hours, I don't think you would do this. I don't know that there'd be a market for it. But I think it could pose some problems if you were open for 3 hours, but it was from 9 to midnight. Can you understand how that would be a little bit different than some afternoon hours? I haven't heard you say that's your intent, but that's why I think that this needs to be spelled out, and the resolution that we're being asked to pass needs to have all those concrete details in there. And rather than you being put on the spot to think all that through this evening,
I have an answer for you right here, right now.
well, I'd rather wait and make sure that we have the verbiage correct in the ordinance, and that we're comfortable with it, and that we have our council attorney have a chance to take a look at it, and that you've had a chance to think through what's going to make sense. From my perspective, if I had to vote on this right now with all the uncertainty, I'd be forced to vote no. I don't know that that would be my vote if all of the questions were answered and it was reduced to writing, but if forced to vote on this evening, it's nothing against you. I like your proposal, but the history here worries me, and I'd have to vote no. So would you be willing to table this, to agree to have this matter tabled until our next council meeting, which would be right after Labor Day in September, so that you can think through what your operation is going to look like, and we can revise the resolution to reflect the specific details?
If I wait any longer, then that's gonna push me into winter, and then nothing's gonna happen, because there is gonna be a pause during winter as well, because winter, tends to,
I understand, and I don't build, it'll be up
But
to
if,
one of my colleagues whether they want to make a motion or not, and whether the council wants to approve it. But just so you know, it's nothing against you. I like your idea, I like your concept, but right now, based on what I've heard this evening and the way that this resolution is drafted, I'm a no vote on this. But I wish you well if you obtain a majority vote, and hopefully there'll be an ability for people to come visit your business at some point in time. So thank you for your answers to my questions. Any other questions for Mr. Bueno and Mr. Mamalante?
Not for Mr. Bueno, but for maybe perhaps you or our attorney. If this does go to a vote this evening and it is, does not pass, how long would Mr. Bueno have to wait in order to apply again?
I believe it's 6 months. For the record, Mr. Prince is nodding his assent to the opinion of Mr. Triple and myself that if this matter received an unfavorable vote this evening, you'd have to wait 6 months to come back in front of us again. So, Mr. Mamalante, the floor is still yours.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure Mr. Bueno understood that if he wants to proceed, or if there's no motion this evening and it goes to a vote, and you don't take Mr. Hicksonball up on the offer, it goes to a vote in an unfavorable position this evening, that you will have to wait an additional 6 months.
I guess if that's the case, let me just repropose, let me think this through, and I will come back next month.
Mr. Mamalante.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Well, with that being said, and with him in understanding the situation or the potential situation this evening, I would like to make the motion that we postpone this to our next scheduled council meeting, which is the day after Labor Day. And I will let you,
September 6th.
what, I'm sorry?
September 6th.
September 6th.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. A motion has been made and seconded to postpone the public hearing of proposed resolution 2022-17 until our next regularly scheduled council meeting, which is Tuesday, September 6th at 7 p.m. here in the council chambers. Any additional questions or comments from the council? Mr. Emmons.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Just a clarification, at the zoning board meeting, it was discussed about the number of hours, and you were limited to basically 18 to 20 hours. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That hasn't been stipulated here, but at that meeting, you're required to say you'd have between 18 and no more than 20 hours.
Even at 6 hours a day, 3 days a week, it's only 18 hours.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, is that was
Yeah,
stipulated?
yeah, I don't plan to run a full-time business there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Mrs. DeMaid.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a quick question. I see that the food truck will be parked on Jefferson. It'll be, how will your signage, will you have signage?
The
that
food
will-
truck itself would be
The food truck
fine,
itself
yeah.
will have big signs and,
All right. Thank you. Mr.
President,
Hazen.
Yes, I'm confused a little bit. So right now, he is not zoned to sell vehicles, but he is. We have witnessed that.
Would you like to pose that question to Mr. Prince, who appears to have some information to
hand
share?
shot up, so-
So, sir, if you could take a seat in the front row, we're going to, Mr. Hazen has a question for Mr. Prince.
Okay.
Evening, Mr. President, members of the council. Ken Prince, Executive Director. Thank you. In 2009, so according to the staff report, staff identified that both the body shop and car sales were a permitted use from the resolution back in 2009. I do not have a copy of that resolution, but I am texting or emailing Krista to pull it, scan it, and I will forward it to the council
I
for your
can
review.
get it right now if you want it.
No, we've already continued it, so it's not.
No, we haven't.
No, we haven't.
There's a
Okay.
motion pending.
Okay, so if that makes a difference, I believe that car sales are in fact permitted and that's not in violation, based on the staff report that was produced. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions for Mr. Prince? Thank you, Ken. For the record, that's how I read the staff report as well, that it was an allowable use and that we were the matter before us was the issue of the expansion of the operation to include the food truck and the truck only, but certainly some further research could not hurt us. Any additional questions or comments from the council with respect to the motion on the floor to postpone further public hearing on this matter until Tuesday, September 6th?
So he's saying that I am permitted an auto sales there. That's what he's saying?
To clarify, Mr. Prince said he believes that the auto related uses are appropriate. He does not have the underlying document that was passed by the council way back when. Well, sir, we've been very respectful and let you speak without interrupting you,
Okay.
and I'm going to ask you to do the same thing when I'm speaking. So, we do not have that in front of us at this point in time. And again, even if that document was here, that wouldn't address my personal concern with regard to the lack of specificity with regard to the hours of operation here. So I'm willing to assume that the auto-related use is okay, but I'm not going to forget the history of problems with this property that goes way in the past before you took control of it. So I'm not going to hold you accountable for that from my standpoint, but I want to make sure that we know what we're getting into, because it appears that things are going much better on this site than they have in the past. I hate to see there be some misunderstanding that happens. So some time to allow us to do that additional research and some time for you to communicate with Mr. Prince, who was just up at the podium with regard to the specific days that you're going to be in operation and the specific hours that you're going to be in operation, I think would be helpful to all of us.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Any additional questions for Mr. Bueno? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Then hearing none, the motion has been made and seconded to postpone further public hearing, proposed resolution 2022-17 until Tuesday, September 6th. Any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The matter will be postponed until Tuesday, September 6th. Thank you, folks.
Resolution R 2022-18, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana, approving a petition of the Mishawaka Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 702 South Logan Street, Mishawaka, Indiana. This is a use variance to allow retail sales in I-2 Light Industrial District.
Thank you. We will now open the public hearing on proposed resolution 2022-18. Anyone wishing to speak in favor, if you would, please come forward to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Good evening.
Hi, I'm Brian Winan, 1820 South Bend Avenue in South Bend. I own Princess City Properties that owns the building at 702 Logan Street, which many of you might know as Crazy Steve's Fireworks Building. Seems to be the logo on that building for a long time. It's got a nice area in the front for retail sales. It's zoned I-2 or I-1. How did I do that? It's zoned I-2, which does not allow retail sales. So we're asking for only part of the building based on parking restrictions, the front 3,300 square feet, to be allowed to be a variance of C1, so we can have retail sales in the front. We meet the parking requirement of 14 parking spaces for the 3,300 square feet, and would like to, well, that's what's proposed at the table today.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Mr. Emmons.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would you expound on exactly what kind of retail sales are you planning?
At this time, we're planning on household items, as we listed in our paperwork. We have a person in there using it for stores right now that buys out estate sales and household items. We don't know that they're going to stay as a retailer, but that's where we left it, was at household items.
So it's used.
It could be new, I mean, we just want to open it up for our real estate agent, John and Anthony Pericini, to be able to open up that lease to other options other than the I-2, which hasn't worked out since I've owned the building since 2019.
Okay, there will be no outside sales, selling the stuff outside
No,
of the building, everything will be enclosed.
everybody inside, yeah, yeah. Has a nice showroom, as you've seen, if you've passed the building before, it has nice glass showroom right in the front.
And you're sticking to the covenant of no sales of fireworks other than what is permitted by the city of Mishawaka.
That is correct. What we have currently is the ordinance, which I believe is either 2 or 3 months before the 4th of July. And not that I would use this, but there's also, I think, an ordinance to sell Christmas trees in November and December on that same property, so.
Refresh my memory, I don't know whether those were outside. I thought they had to be inside.
The fireworks do.
No, but I mean the Christmas tree, I don't remember being outside.
I'm not worried. We haven't sold Christmas trees there ever, so.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. My main concern is I don't want stuff outside being
No.
displayed and sold.
Oh, no, no.
So everything will be inside.
Everything will be inside, right.
And what are your hours?
Whatever the retail would be for that particular item. You know, I don't know, typically household goods would be, 9 or 10 to 7 or 8 in the evening, I would think, in that area, maybe even less.
Okay, I have a problem with not knowing what your hours are in the neighborhood. I think you should have set hours in there so that people know and the community knows. And that, so it's just not one day it's 9 o'clock at night and the next day it might be 10 o'clock at night. I think you need to have set hours, and I think the council needs to know what those hours are if you're going to have a retail business there.
We can set it to close by 8 o'clock at night, and not open before 7 in the morning, if that works.
And what is your thing, Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday?
I wouldn't want to limit it. I'd do 7 days a week. I mean, if it's a retailer of lamps or end tables or something of that nature, I wouldn't want to not have them be able to open on Sunday unless there's a good reason for them not to.
It seems to me like from what you made the statement at the meeting of the Plan Commission, you're kind of waffling now compared to what you were there that night. And I have a problem with that, sir. You're kind of changing your thinking.
Okay, I don't recall the difference in what I'm saying then as I said now. We didn't talk hours then.
That's what I'm saying. You didn't proceed to say you would be 7 days a week or what your hours were. You just kind of left hanging.
Nobody asked for the hours at that meeting, sir, so I didn't change my mind on anything.
Okay. But can you give this council the hours that you're planning on, basically?
If 7 to 8 is satisfactory, I'd be happy to keep it within those hours, yeah. I don't
And that
see
would
any
be
need.
7 days a week?
I'd like to not limit that to, not having Sundays.
I'm just asking, are you saying that
Yes.
you're asking?
Yes.
7 days a week?
Yes.
From 7 to 8? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Other questions? Mrs. DeMade?
Thank you. I have a question. You say household items. Would it be like an antique mall of something of that? Or will it be new furniture and, like you said, end tables, lamps and?
Yeah, and again, those are just household items. So whether they were used, antique, resale, it really depends on the tenant that would lease the property. We're just trying to give the opening to the real estate agents to be able to go out and market this, because I-2 is just not renting. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Other questions? Well, sir, it's going to make you feel like you're being asked the same question, right in the middle here. It's going to make you feel like you're being asked the same question over and over again, but I'm still fuzzy as to, I like this idea, I like the concept, I like to see that building be reused, but I still am struggling with how I would explain to somebody who asks what's going to be done there, what these household commodities are. So now I heard somewhat of a antique resale possibility. And it may be that the concept just isn't fleshed out, and the market's going to tell you what a willing tenant will want to do there.
Correct.
So let me try to get at it this way. How did you identify household commodities as being what it is that you wanted to identify as being the rental space?
It seemed like the most neutral, neighborhood-friendly type of commodity to be sold there.
Okay.
We have a C-store across the street, so I didn't think C-store would be a good idea. Restaurant, it's not really equipped, to be a restaurant. We don't want to bring in something controversial. We don't want to do 12-month sales of fireworks. So it really kind of brought into household items.
Okay. So when you think about what you envision taking place there, what are things that you, other than what you just identified, and I appreciate the clarification, what wouldn't be sold that I would normally think would fall within that definition of household commodities?
Well, I mean, as explained in the thing here to me was, cold drinks, food, fireworks outside of the time that's already permitted, automobiles, automotive products, no, I think it said hairdressers, barbershop, insurance agencies, none of that would be involved in any of this.
I still feel like I'm a little fuzzy on the details, but you're clearing the picture up a little bit for me, so I appreciate your patience in answering the questions. So could this be new household items if a tenant wanted to lease the space from you?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Could be used.
Could be used.
Could be furniture?
Yes?
Would it be landscaping and architectural materials?
No.
So it sounds to me like we're honing in on furniture and those items that would be used in the interior of a home.
Yes.
And I probably should have thrown this out there. This is much more a function of my ignorance than the way that you've described this. So I appreciate your patience in helping me get to the end game here. So new or used, antique or not, for the interior of a home, 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Correct. Correct.
Good summary?
Yep.
Okay. Thanks again for your patience. I
Oh, no
appreciate
problem,
that.
no problem.
Any other questions for this gentleman? Mr. Mamalette?
One quick one. If you could verify, I know the details haven't been fleshed out, but we've kind of identified the hours of operation. What about inbound and outbound freight or delivery trucks of this material? Would they operate during those hours as well?
Yes. Yes, I mean, you wouldn't want to receive or unload or load after hours. So, and there's a loading door on the north side of the building that they could load and load out of. Wouldn't be in the front.
I understand that, but I also understand the difficulty in the transportation issues that we're currently having. So we try to set shipping and receiving hours. However,
Oh, sure.
we get,
Okay.
you get the material when the truck arrives. I would appreciate it if if they let the folks know that the receiving hours were within those hours as
Hours of
well.
operation, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of proposed resolution 2022-18? If so, please come forward to the podium. Then is there anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak in favor of proposed resolution 2022-18? Is there anyone in attendance who wishes to speak in opposition to proposed resolution 2022-18? Please come forward. And is there anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak in opposition to the proposed resolution? Thank you. Are there any council members who wish to speak? Hearing not, then I call, none, then I call for the question. Hearing not.
Question.
Madam Clerk, would you please poll the council?
Mrs. DeMaid?
Yes.
Mr. Hazen?
Yes.
Mr. Mamalenti?
Yes.
Mr. Benicki?
Yes.
Mr. Emmons?
Yes.
Mr. Belovich?
Yes.
Mr. Compton?
Yes.
Mr. Hicksonbaugh?
Yes.
The resolution passes 8-0. Resolution R 2022-19, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Mishawaka, Indiana, consenting to and acknowledging House Enrolled Act 1002.
Thank you. We'll now open the public hearing on proposed resolution 2022-19. Anyone wishing to speak in favor, please come forward. Good evening, Mr. Lynch.
Good evening. President Hicksonbaugh, Honorable Council, Matt Lynch, Executive Director of Development and Legislative Affairs for Mishawaka Utilities. I live at 1712 East LaSalle Avenue, Mishawaka, Indiana. I'm here before you with something that none of us have maybe seen in our lifetime, and that is the elimination of a tax. And this House Enrolled Act 1002 was passed by the House in this past legislative session to eliminate the URT, the Utilities Receipt Tax. And obviously, that has a ramification for our ratepayers in that this tax that we charged and passed on will no longer be in effect. So we can celebrate a tax that has been eliminated, and we can pass on then the savings to our ratepayers. So I appreciate the opportunity to come before you. I appreciate the resolution. This House Act has been passed. I appreciate the fact that you all are hearing this, and we're asking you to consent, acknowledge this act, so that then we can communicate it and pass on the savings to our ratepayers. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Lynch? So just thank you again for your work on this and for bringing in this to us, and thank you to Mr. Triple for his help in drafting the resolution. And just to put the fine point on it, if passed, this will acknowledge the reduction of 16 cents on the drinking water as an approximate monthly savings for most ratepayers, and $1.35 on the electric portions of the utility bill, again, for most ratepayers.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Not so much a question as a comment. As always, when someone from utilities is here, we'd be remiss if we didn't thank Mishawaka Municipal Utilities for the fine work that our utility employees do to make sure that we have continuity of service that is the envy of all surrounding communities. So thank you please pass that along to everybody who has a role to play in that we appreciate the work that they do on a daily basis to keep the utilities arriving at all of our doorsteps.
We have a lot of good people from the city of Mishawaka, a lot of continuity that many communities around our area and around the state would be envious of. And we measure our outages in minutes, not hours or days. And we need to make sure that we keep the integrity of the utilities strong so that we can continue that for years to come.
Excellent. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor of the proposed resolution? If so, please come forward to the podium. Then is there anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak in favor of the proposed resolution? If there is anyone in the chambers who objects to having their utility bills lowered, please come forward to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Then is there anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak in opposition to the proposed resolution? Thank you. Are there any council members who wish to speak? If not, then I call for the question.
Question.
Madam Clerk, would you please poll the council?
Mrs. DeMade?
Yes.
Mr. Hazen?
Yes.
Mr. Mamalenti?
Yes.
Mr. Bednicki?
Yes.
Mr. Emmons?
Yes.
Mr. Belovich?
Yes.
Mr. Compton?
Yes.
Mr. Hicksonbaugh?
Yes.
The resolution passes 8-0.
Thank you. A reminder to the council, the resolution anticipates the signature of all of us, so please make sure that you sign before you exit the chambers this evening. Thank you. This evening, we have no ordinances on second reading, so we'll move into privilege of the floor. At this time, members of the public are invited to the podium to speak with respect to non-agenda items only under privilege of the floor.
Hello, my name is Haley Rice. I live at 443 Ballard Avenue in Mishawaka. And I'm here today to I'm just going to read my speech that I wrote because I'm not a good public speaker. But I've been very upset about the recent overturning of Roe v. Wade by the Supreme Court in June, both as a person with a uterus and as a married person. From rape to medical conditions or the want to be child-free, and even domestic abuse situations and beyond. Pregnancy is a big ask for anyone to take on, and we can't fathom the reasons one would need or want an abortion. Cities all over the country, including Austin, Dallas, and Houston, Texas, Washington, D.C., Cincinnati, Ohio, and Oakland, California, and many other cities have either passed legislation to help protect reproductive rights and bodily autonomy, the right to privacy, or offered to decriminalize abortion through legislation such as the GRACE Act, which makes abortion the lowest priority for the police and decriminalizes it throughout the city limits. With our gerrymandered Republican supermajority that was so hell-bent on stripping Hoosiers of their ability to make informed decisions with their doctor, pregnant people across the state and in neighboring states, some as young as 10 years old, and whose body would most likely struggle through pregnancy and childbirth, are left with few options and few ways to fight for their freedom to make safe, legal health care decisions. As a married woman, I'd like to plan my family and have a future where, if I had a daughter, she'd have the freedom to choose for any reason when she wanted to be pregnant. I would hope that doctors didn't have to hesitate to treat her if need be. Banning abortion not only affects pregnant people, but also disabled people. Already there are instances of people with cancer, arthritis, lupus, psoriasis, and more patients that have needed medications but have been denied due to either the medication being used as a drug that is also used in abortions or causing the fetus to develop in a manner that is incompatible with life. The abortion ban bill that was passed bans these medications on the grounds they are part of abortion care. And while it allows abortions up to 10 weeks in cases of rape and incest, and up to 20 weeks for fetal anomalies and threat to a pregnant person's health, it bans abortion clinics who perform 98% of abortions in our state. The legislative government is not made of doctors and should not be limiting how doctors can give care to their patients. 20% of pregnancies fail and have complications that could harm an assigned female at birth person if not treated with an abortion. People are going into hospitals after failed miscarriages and becoming severely septic due to doctors being afraid to treat them and either risk the loss of their medical license or be jailed. One woman who was forced to carry her miscarriage for 2 weeks described it as having her child die twice. The law cannot account for all the ways pregnancy can go wrong or affect people. All this is to say, I hope either the City Council considers protecting access to abortion in Mishawaka, protecting our right to privacy, or puts forth a resolution to decriminalize abortion since the state has outlawed reproductive health care access, or that our state assembly members are listening and taking notes so that a majority of Hoosiers want to keep abortion legal. Please have the courage to be on the right side of history and see that people with uteruses are more than just broodmares, because we are far and away more than just our reproductive parts. I'm happy to help craft legislation or collaborate with members of this council on this matter, and I highly suggest that council members look into the GRACE Act that was passed by Dallas, Texas. And then one other issue I wanted to bring forth was I've lived in the city for a little over a year now, and I've noticed that in South Bend, all of the bus stops have benches and shelters, but Mishawaka's bus stops do not. And people have to sit out there for at least a half hour if they just miss the bus in the sun, or they sit on the curb next to really busy streets, and I think we should probably address that as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, and we'll certainly take those thoughts under advisement on both points. One question I'll have with regard to the second issue is whether that's a function of what Transpo, the combined public transit agency, puts in place, whether it's a municipal function, but we'll certainly look into it nevertheless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak under privilege of the floor?
Janet Whitfield-Heidick, 622 West 8th Street, Mishawaka. You guys have seen me when I'm here when I want to complain, but tonight I just want to do a shout out to Joe Van Neville and Code Enforcement. we had the opportunity to have a meeting. He was part of that meeting with the West End Neighborhood Watch Group, and we discussed some of the issues in our areas with code. And I was very happy to see that over the last couple weeks, I think letters went out, because I have neighbors who I've never seen out in their yards, people cutting grass, and at least trying to make it presentable. So I just want to say, I want to thank Mr. Van Neville and his staff, and I will thank Vic as well, for the going out if they did, and at least getting people to get out and start making a difference in our communities, because, in our neighborhood, because our area has been looking bad, and it's a great area. So I just want to at least say I can do the other side of the coin and not complain, but I can also do a thank you and at least give kudos to the fact that I feel like, okay, something is starting to happen. And I will say Mr. Van Neville has been very open about giving us his line and calling him. So yes, I just want to say appreciation for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Connie Johnson. I live at 1719 Pamela Street. I spoke with Mr. Woods, I believe, sometime last week.
Mr. Emmons.
I'm sorry, Mr. Emmons, about what used to call Southwest Little League, Mishawaka Little League, address 1104 Carlton Street. The city, from my understanding, are trying to build houses back there instead of leaving it as a Little League. I understand the Little League, East End Little League, has a lease on it with the city of Mishawaka, and supposedly they broke their contract by letting what they call a traveling league play back there, because they was trying to be able to keep it running, the Little League running, but couldn't afford to because they didn't have enough income coming to run 2 Little Leagues. I don't understand why the city don't like the traveling league, because all those kids are kids that are older than 13 years of age that can't play at the Little Leagues anymore. My nephew is one of those, and he wouldn't go to a traveling league because he didn't feel like he played good enough, was good enough to go to a traveling league. There's nothing wrong with those kids being able to play in that ballpark. It's giving these older kids, high school age, an opportunity to play that maybe aren't good enough for high school, don't play there. I know you guys don't probably have it on the agenda yet, and Mr. Wood said it could take a while, but they seem like they're moving way faster. I mean, they were out there measuring our drive that goes back to the Little League. And my concern is I don't know what's going on. I want to know what's going on. And I don't feel like, I've been in Mishawaka my whole life. I've been here since I was born. I went to school with Mr. Fixenbach there at Mishawaka High School. I believe we graduated the same year in '83. So, I mean, I'm a lifetime resident, and I don't want to see that turning into a big housing project, whether it be cheap housing, expensive housing. Either way, it's going to affect my property value. And if it goes to expensive houses, that's going to raise my taxes, and I won't be able to afford taxes to live in the city of Mishawaka anymore. And that is a big concern for me, because I lived there all my life. Yeah, I moved out a couple times because it was my parents' house. I inherited it, but I've always lived in Mishawaka. And I just don't want to see that go to housings for multiple reasons. We got wildlife that lives back there. We got wild turkeys. We got, even though it's not my favorite, we got a coyote that comes around. We got foxes that comes around. Even though the coyote I love watching, I got pictures of him back there. We got deer back there. All that will disappear with this land development. And, not just Mishawaka, everywhere. They're so big on building, 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 and don't care about the wildlife that is around. Granted, I know that wildlife comes from the Nun's Place. Don't know what's called up in Dragoon. I've always called it Nun's Place. Granted, I know they come down from there. but they still need food sources because they don't have enough up there for the animals that are up there. So my question is, do you guys know exactly what is going on with that property at this time and what the plans truly are?
All right, well, let me try to address that. Thanks for being here, and we appreciate your comments. And actually, if you graduated in '83, you graduated with my brother Gary, not
Oh,
me.
Gary,
I was the
okay,
year
I'm
behind
sorry.
him in front of you, but that's okay.
Okay.
Good to see you again, nevertheless. I can tell you that from a council standpoint, at least and I haven't heard from any others, have been approached even informally with regard to a plan for the development of that property. So I'm unaware of any of the circumstances. I'm sure you can understand that anything involving two little leagues and the travel team, and I appreciated your comments about that, that's a private contractual matter that they would have to work out in terms of a lease and whether and if it was violated. But in terms of plans for the property, the council has not been made aware of any specific developmental property or proposals unless somebody else is aware of something that I am not.
Who
But a
can
good-
we go to
but a
then
good-
for that?
I was just going to make a suggestion for you. There's a nice gentleman in the audience here who works on a daily basis with regard to community development and economic development and all things related to those issues. Mr. Prince, could you wave your hand, please?
I seen him speak up there.
Mr. Prince is a great resource for these type of issues, so my suggestion would be, after the meeting, if you want to touch base with Mr. Prince, he may be able to shed some light on what the plans are for that property. I'm sure he'll make us aware of it as well. But certainly, we'll keep our eye on what's going on over there because we all have a vested interest in good, solid development taking place everywhere, including at the old Little League site.
Yeah, okay.
All right, thank you. Mr. Prince.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the issue with the Little League isn't the fact that it's baseball. The fact is that we worked the partnership with East End to have that not-for-profit Little League use those fields. And so the traveling teams are for-profit, and we feel like it's inappropriate to have for-profit teams use public land in that manner. So that was the fundamental rub regarding the lease that our legal department has been working on with the Little League. At the same time, the reason why there's survey crews out there is that Habitat for Humanity would like to do a partnership on that property, and for them to even submit a plan for us to consider, they have to do that survey, and so they have survey crews out there looking at it, which we've encouraged them to put together a plan. Once we have a plan, there'll be a public hearing process and public meetings regarding what that plan is for everybody to weigh in on, but we're just not at that point yet.
Okay, thank you. Any follow-up questions for Mr. Prince? Then, Connie, if you have any additional questions, see Mr. Prince after the meeting, and I'm sure that he'll be happy to answer those questions. But thank you for that clarification, Ken. Sure. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak under privilege of the floor? And is there anyone participating remotely who wishes to speak under privilege of the floor? All right, thank you. Unfinished business, of which there is none that I'm aware, so we'll move into new business. Is there any new business to come before the council this evening? Mr. Evans.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. Just a change in our neighborhood meeting on August 18th. We're changing from having a tour because there's so many people wanted to do that tour that the mayor has advised that it's not completed yet to have people come through, that many people, the installation of the furniture and stuff sitting around and everything. So he asked me to postpone that until a later date. So what we're doing, we're going to have, on August 18th, we're going to have a canine presentation about drugs, how they identify the dogs, how they identify the drugs and that. So it should be pretty interesting. So I invite everybody to come on the 18th at St. Babel's. And then at a later date, we'll have the tour, and we'll set that up, and we'll advertise that for people to go. So that again, at 7 o'clock, St. Babel's this Thursday at 7 o'clock. And as usual, you'll have your West End donuts. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Mr. Compton.
Yeah, I want to apologize to the council. I went back and found the minutes from April 11th, I think it was, no, 2011, April of 2011, and we did approve auto sales. There was much question about it, how many vehicles, all kinds of things. But I did see Mr. Bueno come back in. He must have forgot his phone. I was hoping he would be here, so I could apologize to him as well. So I know there's other questions about this. This does give him opportunity to get his ducks in a row. It is just down the street from me, so I plan to stop in and tell him what I know and then make suggestions for him to get this over the finish line for him. So I apologize. So I sent you all links to the minutes. You can read them yourself.
Thank you for that clarification, Mr. Compton. Other new business, Mr. Mamalenti?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Just want to take this time to thank several of the folks that were involved making our National Night Out at Twin Branch Park this month. It's such a great success. Of course, it wouldn't happen without Rich and Carol Mullins, who've been organizing that for, what was it, 30 years? 30 years. Do an outstanding job. Wanted to thank Lieutenant Reppert, who's here this evening as well, does a lot of work behind the scenes, transporting grills, coolers, wicker baskets, everything under the sun to and from the pavilion. I want to thank the mayor and the police and fire that showed up that evening. It was a great turnout. They did a wonderful job as usual, so I just want to thank everybody that was involved in making that such a great success.
Thank you. Mrs. DeMade?
Thank you, Mr. President. I will echo Mr. Mamalenti's thanks to everyone who showed up at the Mishawaka National Night Out with the West End Neighborhood Watch were there. We had a great showing. Lots of people were interested. Talked to many, many people about neighborhood watches, and hopefully we'll get some more neighborhood watches going in the city. So, thank you.
Thank you. Other new business to come before the council? Then hearing none, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
We are adjourned.